Hello there, my name is James Harrington. If Spanish football is for you, then this is the place to be. Today I'll be previewing the Spanish national team at the Euros this summer, giving you my starting 11, previewing their opposition in Group E, and giving you my prediction of how far I think they'll progress through the tournament. The other night, I watched Spain versus Portugal in a 0-0 draw. Now, it wasn't a vintage La Roja performance, but it was a useful warm-up. On Tuesday, they play Lithuania, and then a few days later, their Euro campaign begins. So let's start with my starting 11. Before I go into my starting 11, let's quickly touch upon the squad that Luis Enrique has selected this summer. Interestingly, he's gone with a 24-man squad when he was permitted a 26-man squad. And as well, a lot has been made of the fact that there's been no Real Madrid players selected. Make of that what you will. Now, before Luis Enrique announced his 24-man squad, I did my prediction for my 26-man squad for the tournament this summer. Now, some players that I include have been omitted, but those players Luis Enrique has called up that I didn't were Cesar Azpilicueta of Chelsea, Diego Llorente of Leeds, Pablo Sarabia of PSG, and Robert Sanchez of Brighton. To be honest, I can get on board with most of those players. What the Spanish national team have this summer is a nice mix of youth and experience. The first question I have to ask myself is, what formation am I going with this summer? Now, it's between two for me, the 4-2-3-1 and the 4-3-3. What the 4-2-3-1 has, it has those two deep-lying midfielders protecting the defence, which could be important in the context of no Sergio Ramos this summer. However, the strength of the 4-3-3 is that you still have that one midfielder anchoring the midfield, but it allows the other two to push further forward and join the attacks. I think I'm going to go with the 4-3-3 for the following reasons. It's favoured by most La Liga teams. It's been favoured by the Spanish national team in the past. It's Luis Enrique's favoured formation when he was manager of Barcelona, and it was the one he went with in the spring internationals against Georgia, Kosovo and Greece. For me, the starting number one this summer is Unai Simon of Athletic Club. He seems to have usurped David De Gea as the first choice for La Roja. David De Gea has been the long time number one for Spain, featured most recently prominently in the UEFA Nations League. However, Unai, his strengths are he's good at coming from crosses, nice distribution, but the thing I feel about Unai Simon is he can occasionally have that rush of blood. I've talked about it in the past, but it seems like Luis Enrique trusts him. With his 7 caps to his name presently, I think he's going to be between the sticks this summer. Now, my first centre-half I'm going to go with is Pau Torres of Villarreal, a lovely ball-playing centre-half who can pass a whole range of distances. In La Liga this season, he's got an 89.2% pass completion rate, really good figures. And with Pau Torres, he'll be so critical in Spain's build-up play from the back. As well, a real asset of him is that he is 6'3", a really imposing figure in that back line. For me, Pau Torres, no question. So who partners Pau Torres in centre-half? Now, normally it would have been Sergio Ramos. However, as he's not been called up this summer, it's between two players, Aymeric Laporte and Eric Garcia. Now, neither player has played a phenomenal amount of football this season for their parent club, Man City. Now, Laporte has played 12 games, Garcia has played 3. But what I think is Laporte is going to get the nod ahead this summer. The mere fact he switched allegiances from France to Spain, Luis Enrique must have given him guarantees that he will play. As well, when I watched Laporte the other night against Portugal, not only was he competent in defence, what he was doing, especially in the first half, was these lovely, long-field, cross-the-pitch balls to the likes of Sarabia and Morata. And to have that in your locker can really vary the attacking play for Spain. But now my fullbacks. On the left, no question, Jordi Alba from Barcelona has to start. But on the right, that's where it's interesting. Now, it's interesting because he's called up Cesar Azpilicueta. Now, Cesar is a very experienced footballer who this season for Chelsea and in the Champions League has tended to play on the right-hand side of a back three. However, in the past, he has been a fully fledged right back. But Luis Enrique seemingly favours Marcos Llorente of Atletico Madrid. Now, in the past, I've been unconvinced by this idea, not because I don't think Marcos Llorente can fulfil that role. It's just that I prefer him further up the pitch. However, when I was watching him against Portugal, he was Spain's best player. Going forward, getting involved in those attacks, and as well with Marcus Llorente, he has a lot of pace. So I'm increasingly becoming sold on the idea, and that's why I'm going to have Marcus Llorente at right back this summer. We now move into my midfield three, and in that deeper midfield role it's between two players, Rodri and Sergio Busquets. But for me, Sergio Busquets starts because of his experience. He would be my captain. He's got 122 appearances for the Spanish national team and was involved in their successes in 2010-2012. Been in really good form this season for Barcelona. Of course, people recognise his defensive capabilities, his interceptions, his breaking up play. But what doesn't get talked about enough is his passing ability, especially those forward lofted through balls to the attackers. So, Sergio Busquets starts for me. Partnering Sergio Busquets in the midfield on that right-hand side for me is Koke, the Atletico Madrid captain who's been so instrumental in their success this season. He has a number of leadership qualities, which is great that Spain have at their disposal, but as well, I feel like he's more attacking-minded than Busquets. What Koke can do, and a number of Spanish midfielders can do, is they have brilliant passing ability. But what stands out for me with Koke is his progressive passes per 90, standing at 5.90. So, Koke on the right-hand side. But it's on the left where it's interesting. Now, I'm going to go with the 18-year-old Pedri. What I've got on my midfield at the moment is some excellent pass of the ball. I have Sergio Busquets sitting deep. I have Koke going further forward. But I need someone who can do those vertical forward runs into the final third and getting in and around the box. Now, there's a number of other players I could have gone with. Fabian Ruiz of Napoli or Thiago of Liverpool. But for me, Pedri edges them. Now, he's had such an impressive debut season for Barcelona, and what impresses me the most about Pedri is he just doesn't seem fazed when under pressure. He's so nimble. Now, he's got very good figures for carries into the final third. Admittedly, in the context of Barcelona, he sits behind the likes of Messi and Dembele, but still impressive stats nonetheless. Now, what I'm going to say is I don't expect Pedri to be, by any stretch, player of the tournament. But this is going to be so critical for him to get the experience to become an even more important figure for Spain in years to come. We now move on to the front three. And on the left for me, it's Dani Olmo of RB Leipzig. Now, Dani Olmo can play anywhere on the front three, either on the wings or in the centre. But what we've seen with Dani Olmo this season, some really impressive stats. 9 assists in the Bundesliga this season, and as well he got 2 goals for Spain in the Spring Internationals. While Spain will predominantly play possession-based football, Dani Olmo is really effective on the counter, so at least that enables Spain to vary the diet in the attacking sense. We now move on to the right-hand side, and for me starting is Ferran Torres. Now, a lot has been made of him since his hat-trick against Germany, but it has to be said this season he probably hasn't made as many starts for Man City as he would have liked, due to the fact Pep Guardiola has so much talent on offer. Ferran Torres, Pep Guardiola said, could one day be a future number 9, and you can see it. His agility, his trickery, his pace, he's just such an intuitive footballer and a real threat in front of goal. But I must admit, the other night I was disappointed against Portugal because he did scuff 1 or 2 chances, but I still think he's going to start this summer. We now move on to the striker, and this is an interesting one. Normally, Alvaro Morata of Juventus has started in the past for Spain. In 39 appearances, he's got 19 goals. However, one accusation that's been labelled against him of late is that he's a bit goal shy, lacking that clinical edge. Now, that was very noticeable the other night against Portugal. There was a few good opportunities where it was a low ball fizzed across the box, and all he had to do was stick his foot out and get on the end of it. But that didn't happen. As well, in the 91st minute, when he was through in goal against Rui Patricio, the Portuguese goalkeeper, the goalkeeper dived slightly too early, and it was just a case of stroking the ball, in reality, into the back of the net. However, Morata rattled the crossbar. So in light of that fact, and I even think before that, the player that I would start for Spain as the striker is Gerard Moreno of Villarreal. Someone I've raved about all season. His form is off the charts. The highest scorer Spanish player in La Liga. Got 30 goals this season, 11 assists in 46 appearances. He opened the scoring in the Europa League. And with Gerard Moreno, admittedly, he can play on the wing, but I still do think he can do a really effective job centrally. He's intelligent, he can link up between the lines, he does a variety of runs into the box, and whilst admittedly Alvaro Morata edges him for aerial duels. So if you want that target man to bring the other players into the play, maybe Morata's better than that. Only just though. I think if you're concerned that Spain aren't scoring enough goals, Moreno is that fix. He's got goals galore this season, and I would start him this summer. So that is my starting 11 for Spain. That's who I believe is the strongest starting 11 that Luis Enrique can field this summer. Do let me know if you agree or disagree. But moving on, let's look at Spain's opposition in Group E. Now Spain this summer have drawn the likes of Slovakia, Sweden and Poland. Spain's journey to the Euros has been a strong one, winning 8 of their 10 matches in qualification, topping their Nations League group and getting 7 points from 3 games in their World Cup qualifiers. Now it must be said though, Sweden and Poland definitely aren't here to make up the numbers. They are top footballing sides. And as well as Slovakia. Now they only got their first Euro qualifications in the 2016 tournament, but they did make it through to the knockout phases, so they could be tricky opposition. But let's start with giving you my thoughts on the opposition. Let's start with Sweden, who in 2018 had their best international success, reaching the quarter-finals of the World Cup. Their Euro campaign does start against Spain this summer at La Cartuja in Seville. With Spain, the player that I'm most looking forward to seeing is Alex Isak of Real Sociedad. 16 goals this season, has matched Ibrahimovic's 11-year record for most goals scored by Sweden in La Liga. And by the way, if you are new to the channel, do stick around and hit subscribe, because every week when the La Liga season is on, I do my matchday previews, giving my thoughts into the weekend's fixtures and my predictions. So if you do enjoy La Liga content, do stick around. But as well, another player who will be so important for Sweden this summer is Emil Forsberg of Leipzig. 9 goals, 7 assists, someone as well who's very versatile, can play in that false 9, can play in the wing and in that attacking midfield position. One thing that I was surprised about the Sweden side is how old they are. 12 players over the age of 30 and their captain Andreas Grankvist at 36. They've got no Ibrahimovic this summer, but it's between them and Poland, I feel, for the number 2 spot in this group. We now move on to Poland, who interestingly their manager Paulo Sousa has only been in charge for 3 games. Obviously their biggest threat, no question, is Robert Lewandowski of Bayern Munich, who has had an impeccable season, beating Gerd Muller's 40 goals in a single season in the Bundesliga. But he's not the only talented player that Poland have to offer. You've got the likes of Krakowiak, Glick, Milik, Zielinski and Fabianski. They did make it to the quarterfinals in 2016 and they are going to be very tricky opposition. Finally, that leaves Slovakia. And Milan Skriniar of Inter Milan is going to be so important for them this summer. He was pivotal in Inter Milan's success winning the Serie A this campaign. As well, they do have Martin Dubravka in between the sticks and Marek Hamsik, their hero, who's been playing football in Sweden of late to make sure he's match fit for the tournament this summer. Now, Slovakia have had some inconsistent form, only getting their spot at the Euros by qualifying through the playoffs, beating the likes of the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. They qualified for the 2016 tournament and did make it to the knockout phases, so doing it back-to-back qualification for the Euros, fair play to them. However, with Slovakia, you could say they could sneak third, but their final game is against Spain. So in light of all of that and the talent and offer in the other nations, I think they're going to finish rock bottom of Group E. So what is my prediction for Spain this summer? I think they're going to finish top of Group E, and then they're going to get to the round of 16, where they have to play one of the third place sides from another group. Whoever that may be, I think Spain will get past them. But it's at the quarter-finals where it gets interesting. They could face either England, who if they finish top of Group D, which is themselves, Croatia, Scotland and the Czech Republic, and they get through the round of 16, or they could finish whoever finishes top of Group F, the group of death, which is Hungary, Portugal, Germany and France. Now if they are to play England, and as an England supporter and being as impartial as I can be, I think Spain will win. Now, England, when they last played Spain in 2018, did win 3-2. But this is a very different Spanish side. Now, if they are to play either Germany or Portugal, I think Spain have a very good chance. But if it's France, that's a whole different story. But let's say I think Spain will progress through the quarter-finals. They then reach the semi-finals. To be honest, that's as far as I think this side will get this summer. They've been touted as outside favourites to win the Euros, but I just think other teams have stronger squads. Now, I think if I was Luis Enrique, I'll probably be quite happy with that result. And what I will think is I've got a really exciting team. A team that could spell another golden era for Spanish football, dominant on the international stage in future tournaments. So this summer at the Euros, I think Spain will make it to the semi-finals. So that's it. That's my Spain Euros preview. If you did enjoy the video, you know the drill. Hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, and give the video a thumbs up. It's all greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.